How y'all Africans doing? I was listening to y'all say Black Power, and it reminded me about 55 years ago when I was walking down the roads, the dirt roads of Mississippi, saying Black Power, myself and a couple of other people, and they were shooting at us and throwing bombs at us. But today, our people are talking about Black Power all over the world. And from Black Power movement, our people burnt down all these cities in the United States. And there were hundreds of people laying in the streets dead, being shot down for burning the cities down, for shooting at the government and fighting for Black Power and fighting for our liberation. Our people have died fighting for Black Power, and Black Power ain't nothing to play with. I want all y'all talking about Black Power. I want you to support the movement. I want you to learn about Marcus Garvey, learn about Malcolm X, learn about Nat Turner, learn about the liberation movements all over the world. Do y'all know about the Haitian Revolution? We defeated them. Our people come from Africa. And Black Power means the liberation of Africa. Black Power means the unity of Africa. Black Power means that we must have our own country. We must have our own armies. And we must be willing to build us a nuclear bomb to protect Africa. Africa is the richest land in the world, full of diamonds and gold and millions of other resources. We are the smartest people in the world. We built Ghana, Mali, Shanghai, and thousands of other great empires when other people were in the cage before they invaded Africa and robbed us and put us on slave ships, killed the native people here, and then brought us here and made slaves out of us. We must love each other again. Black Power means you gotta respect and love the African woman. You got to feed your children and other children. And anytime you hear about anybody fighting for their liberation, you got to support them. You must support the revolution in Venezuela right now. They're fighting against the United States government and other forms of imperialism. We must support Cuba and Castro and all the people that represent the communist government of Cuba. We must support Venezuela and Zimbabwe. We must support, Guinea-Bissau, the PAIGC. They're fighting to liberate that country right now. There's a struggle in the streets. And the PAIGC, which is led by Amilcar Cabral, he was assassinated by imperialism, but yet the spirit of Cabral, they continue to organize, and they're trying to take over Guinea-Bissau. The PAIGC, we must support them. We must support the guerrillas and the soldiers in Libya that's still fighting against the United States government. We must support the guerrillas and soldiers in Yemen that's fighting against Israel and the U.S. imperialism. Anybody in the world that's fighting against the United States and Europe, we must join them in that fight. Again, we are not Americans. We are Africans. And we'll never be free until Africa's free. They divided Africa up and cut it up in little pieces. We want a united Africa. We want our land. And we want to let the world know that African freedom fighters are up in arms all over the world, in Haiti, in Zimbabwe, in Libya, all over the world, in Guinea-Bissau. African freedom fighters are up in arms. And we will lay down our life before we lay our arms down. We are fighting for our liberation. So those of you who come here talking about black power today and sing about it, like Malcolm say, if you knew what black power means, you wouldn't use them words so loosely. You wouldn't play with it. Because black power means bloodshed. Black power means liberation. Black power means getting knowledge of self, getting knowledge of your people, getting knowledge of the revolution. And black power means that we must form armies and prepare to fight. And some of us are fighting right now as we talk all over the world. We are fighting, we are throwing bombs, we are doing everything to defeat America, defeat imperialism. So again, I want to say, damn the Democrats, damn the Republicans, damn America, damn Europe. And we want you to know we will fight you until you're dead. We will fight you until we're dead, till you're dead. We will liberate our land. We will liberate our people. Everybody say Africa must be free. Say it strong. Africa must be free. Africa must be free. Africa must be free. Africa must be free. Long live Africa. Black power. Black power. Black power. Black power.
Thank you, Baba. Black power.
Yo, peace and black power. It's your brother Knowledge from live. Do the Knowledge Radio. The place where knowledge is born.
Knowledge Radio.
This is 3K.
Think Tank.
This is 3K. Hey. This is 3K.
I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. Who ran, who ducked, who drew down, return fire. We're the warriors, the healers, enlighten us. I'm tired of the same old, that game old with an upgrade. I'm a sunbathe in the sun rays while my guns blaze and they complain. Devil my level not attainable. I'm metal, not malleable. I'm a man, didn't need that manual. Reparations is incalculable. Yeah, we wanted in blood, dead in the begging, head in the beheading, metal to the meddling. Members is aggressive, getting to the Armageddon. Karma, see karma when it comes to retribution. Caliber, catalyst in my clips and I use them on traitors and haters and the ones that spread confusion. Cause the devil's playground wasn't built for our amusement. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. Impenetrable armor, Orient aura. This story, this saga get gory before it get calmer. Keep holding that revolutionary posture. 85 gon' dip and dodger, but when they get monster, they turn into MC Light, earrings, and become door knockers. I'm irate, they pirate the culture, send them to Davy Jones' locker. It's okay. Let them think that you lost it. Be patient, this type of thing you can't force it. Play possum, but nah, not know out the road. And they can't comprehend cause the language is coded. We plan ideas and we plan explosives. Make your pockets go for more bits or more bread. The portal done open, they can't close it. You ain't got a sideline, you can cause more risk. No set birth date, no Dorian Gray portraits. It's about to get ugly and these devils can't forfeit. Ancestral memories, so no, I won't forget. What we building is an impenetrable fortress for sure. Every show is just like a course ship, and my flow for sure tighter than your gal's corset. It's okay. We are the source, you can't outsource it. Even Spartans don't want no parts left. What do you know? Before you know it, 3,000 wild Africans at your doorstep. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. No, we will not cower while the rest they play safe. We will move with God's power. This is not for play. Honor my ancestors, play the Orient day. Peace to you, loved ones, stay dangerous and stay safe. AKAs and AKs coming to make their caves cave. Wreck the race like take case, stay dangerous and stay safe.
Brothers just walk up on me and they're just like, You could just see the hunger in their eyes. Like as soon as you know what I mean? They was like, yo, you know, we agree and we think that you would fuck with us. And, you know, I'm telling you, like, we nice and just give us a fucking chance type of shit, you know?
A man tells me that I can't loot, and he is the greatest looter in the world. He looted black people from Africa. He looted this country from the Indians, and he runs around and calls black people thieves. You can't steal from a thief. Everything we take, the man owes us, and that's the dues he has to pay for knowing us and owing us, brothers. That's his dues. Police force. Now it's going to be interesting for him to find out which black ones there are. Tomorrow y'all might have an all-white police force again. But brothers, you are forced to move. You can no longer sit back. You see, my old man Tom and my mother worked from kin till can't, so I wouldn't have to Tom. You don't have to Tom, brothers. You better get yourselves some guns, because if you don't, your sons and your daughters will have to get guns if they're still here. America has renovated 26 concentration camps across the country. These camps are not for the Indians. The Indians are on reservations. These concentration camps are for black people. Now, what you're going to have to do is to take the same step that Plainfield, New Jersey took. You're going to have to tell the man, if you come in my community, you're going to have to come with the intent of dying, or you don't come at all. Because if you can get me, because brothers, if you touch one of us, you touch all of us. The most beautiful thing about Alexandria, Virginia, was that people began to identify with people because they were black. Those are some of the most beautiful people in the world in Alexandria, Virginia. These people came to the aid of black people, their country. These are the real patriots. Muhammad Ali is the real patriot. Don't let that man define who your heroes and your patriots are. Columbus was a dumb honky. He was the 14th century. Columbus was the 14th century, Joe Louis. He was looking for India. You ever dug where India is on the map? But understand this, America has the power to legitimatize anything that happens. They legitimatize his stupidity. And they said he discovered a country. How can you discover a country full of people? I want to end here, you see, because ours might be to do or die, but for my kids that come up after me, theirs is not to do or die. Theirs is but the reason why. Black power, brothers. Yeah. Before I begin, I have an announcement to make. Will all FBI, CIA, and secret agents report to the back of the room? You're supposed to report to the Texas White House. The barbecue chitlins are ready now. Brothers, we have to understand one thing. Everybody with a natural is not a brother. You got people running around here with naturals on their head and nothing on their minds. That's the problem with black people. You see, I say, give me a brother with a processed head and a natural mind instead of a natural head and a processed mind. Because what you got running around here, what you got is a bunch of tomfool niggas running around here working for the man, destroying their own self. They don't know the man after them too. But the most beautiful thing about the honky is that he hates everything black. He hates everything black except a black Cadillac and black shoes. Don't you forget it. So just like he moves against you, he gonna move against the man who's telling on you. It's one thing we found out about the honky. You give him an inch, he want a yard. You give him a yard, he'll burn a cross on it every time. You better watch. We stand on the eve of a black revolution, brothers. Masses of our people are in the streets. They're fighting tit for tat, tooth for tooth, an eye for an eye and a life for a life. The rebellions that we see are merely dress rehearsals for the revolution that's to come. We better get ourselves some guns and prepare ourselves. I want to tell you why. I want to tell you why you have to be armed to win against this animal, and the honky ain't nothing but an animal. Plainfield, New Jersey was the most successful rebellion that has been held in America. There was only one casualty, a honky cop. The brothers caught him over there. Let me explain how it happened. He gonna go in the black community to stop a bunch of Peckerwood, redneck, honky kids from going to attack some brothers. He was standing in between the kids and the brothers. The kids saw the brothers coming, and they turned and got hit, leaving nothing but a honky cop there. The brothers left him there. I'm gonna show you what they did to him, brother. You talking about the white man teaching us to be violent. See, black folks are not non-violent. We prove that every Friday and Saturday night. We beat each other up and we cut each other up. We've never been non-violent. We have never been non-violent. I say if we are to be non-violent, it should be in our communities, and it should end right there in our communities. The brothers caught him, they beat him, they stomped him, they hit him in the head with a shopping basket, they shot him, and then they cut him. They was mad because they cut him, because you know we cut. Yeah. America has finally taken off its black robe, which has hidden its white sheep for so long. They have been running around telling black people that we are your friends. You see, Lyndon Johnson is no difference from George Wallace. Yeah, he is. There's only one difference between the two. One of them's wife got cancer. That's the only difference between Lyndon Johnson and Wallace. We can't run around talking about the lesser of two evils. Evil is evil. Lyndon Johnson is evil. The only reason Goldwater lost the election was that he told the truth. He told niggas he hated them. Johnson fooled you. You running around here thinking that a two-gun outlaw, a cracker from Texas, was gonna love black people. Johnson is the most violent man going. He is killing black people in Vietnam, and he's killing them in Detroit. Brothers, but it does us no good to talk about these things unless we know where to move. We have to begin to move to control our communities. Everything that's in your community that you don't control is a weapon against you. Public education as it exists today is a weapon against black people. TV and news media, especially the WPP, white power press, white people's paper, and white people's power are enemies against black people. What the white press does is that it makes black people an enemy of black people. A good example of that is Malcolm X. Malcolm X was an enemy of black people. That's why black people did not revolt when Malcolm X was shot down. Muhammad Ali was an enemy of black people. That's why black people did not revolt when they gave Muhammad Ali his. That black folks built this country, and we will burn it down because we built it. For years, the honky has been running around talking about black people, how lazy black people are. How can you explain how that cotton got picked if black people were lazy? We worked in the fields from Ken till Kent for the honky while he laid up and sipped lemonade. That's what we did. And they got black folks running around talking about black people lazy. They also said black folks stink. And black folks running around here now, and they think their only problem is body odor and bad breath. You better get on the move, brother. Your problem is Lyndon Johnson. want to talk about the school that they propose to build here in Washington, D.C. That's black urban removal. You see, that's black urban removal. They will tear down good structures to build up a ghetto school. It's up to people in Washington, D.C. to mobilize an effort to crush the streets are yours, brother. They gave you the streets a long time ago. They forced you out in the streets. Those streets belong to you. It's up to you to take the streets. They will not give you anything. Freedom is not a welfare commodity. It cannot be given to you. You have to take freedom. You have to siege freedom. You were born free. You have to exercise that right, brother. Don't sit back and tell me I'm waiting for my freedom. You see, it's like a lady told me in Alabama. A lot of folks been praying for a long time for freedom. She said, now, prayers are good in prayer meeting, but they ain't worth a damn in bear meeting. Brother, you in there. You can count on it. You can count on every time you go on 14th Street and you run into one of the cops, be he white honky or be he black honky. He is the bear, and he's out to get black people. Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. trails only Alabama, and Alabama trails only Vietnam and its action in being responsible for the death of black people. We are third here in Washington, D.C. in the world in terms of black people being killed. These people are killed by policemen. You gave them a license to kill. It's up to you to revoke that license, because if it's not, it will be you next. Brother, they are out to kill you. America is practicing genocide against black people. They are practicing genocide. Right? For those who don't know what genocide is, let me tell you what happened to the Germans, and well, not the Germans, the Jews and the Germans. During World War II, they say Hitler exterminated 6 million Jews. Why can a man exterminate 6 million other men? Their mind was conditioned for genocide. Black people's minds have been conditioned for genocide. A few years ago, black people were so high off their nonviolence toward white people that if President Kennedy had sent a letter to every nigger in America with the president's seal on it saying report to concentration camps, you would have been there on time. You would have been there on time. Genocide does not occur out of stupidity. It occurs out of conditioning. Black people have been conditioned to kill themselves. They have been conditioned for genocide. America is actively participating and practicing in genocide against black people. They're doing it on 3 levels. They're starving people to death down in Alabama and Mississippi. Over 500 kids die each year for lack of proper nourishment in Alabama alone. Of starvation, 500 kids die. Now that's a fact. In 1967, when we shooting at the moon, people are dying. Another way is through their courts, which is a type of legal genocide if you let them talk about it. Muhammad Ali is an example of genocide. They give you the maximum sentence to take you off the street, brother. And for the brother who ain't going to Vietnam to fight that racist war, he got it in for you anyway. Another way that they are exercising genocide in America, besides the courts and besides that action in Alabama, is that they are sending brothers to Vietnam. Do you realize the fighting force in Vietnam is 22% black, and yet they tell us that we comprise only 10% of the population? Something is wrong. He either didn't teach me to count or he don't know how to count. 30% of the people who die in Vietnam are black. That's genocide. You got black brothers over there fighting yellow people for a white man. Something wrong, brother. You better get your mind together. Now, when you decide who your enemy is, you see, I told them when I went down to be inducted, I said, if you give me a gun and tell me to shoot my enemy, I might shoot Lady Bird. Brothers, be clear that war in Vietnam is for the birds. Lady Bird, Linden Bird, Hugh Bird, Looney Bird. That's their war. It ain't my war. The Viet Cong never called me nigger. The Viet Cong did not lynch Emmett Till. The Viet Cong did not shoot Medgar Evers. The Viet Cong is not starving people in Alabama. But who is? The cracker, Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson is my enemy. Lyndon Johnson is the biggest. You see, Texas should be proud. Texas has been known for its mass production of outlaws. it has yet to produce an outlaw of the caliber of Lyndon Johnson. His name legally to Lynchum Johnson. Brother, you're gonna have to define who your enemy is. You have to decide among yourselves if you're gonna kill your enemy, because that is an individual decision. The man cannot put me in his army and tell me to shoot somebody without it being my belief that he should be shot. Because I'm gonna decide who my enemy is, I'm gonna decide when I'm gonna kill him, and I'm gonna decide how I'm gonna kill him. That's a decision to be made by you as individuals, because when you kill, you take a man's life. And brothers, we have been killed, and it has not been by the Viet Cong. So get that out of your mind. The Viet Cong is not the enemy of black people. They have lied to black people and told black people that we are over there to prevent the spread of communist aggression. Most black people think communism is when you don't go to church. That's what they think. You're a communist if you don't go to church. Yet they go to Vietnam to fight communist aggression. You better fight the spread of democracy, brother. That's what you better fight. People don't want democracy over there, not the type that America practices. We don't want that democracy here. You see, but it has been the black man's implacable will to be free that has made him fight for this country. And it will be that same will that will make him fight this country. His will to be free. Black people are going to be free by any means necessary. Black people had better begin to address themselves to the so-called black leaders who tell them to be nonviolent and then turn around and tell a honky, yeah, I'm all in favor of you sending troops down there on them niggas. Brother, is something wrong. Something is morally wrong with a man who tells his people to be nonviolent and at the same time condones the sending of white killers into that community. Life magazine makes it incandescently clear what goes on in rebellions in terms of troops that are sent in. A 12-year-old kid lie dead in the street on the front of Life magazine. He is black. That's part of you laying in that street. I saw a picture of an autopsy of a young 19-year-old kid who had been shot 39 times, 4 times in the skull with an M1 carbine. It only takes 1 bullet to kill a man. So he's really telling you something else. He is out to dehumanize black people, and we are allowing him. We are running around talking about black folks are looting. I agree, there should be more shooting than looting. That's the only thing I agree with. Black folks trying to loot when they should be shooting. If you're gonna loot, loot your gun store. Dig it? Brother, because the only thing he recognizes and respects is armed people. The only reason that the honky did not go into Plainfield and wantonly destroy and kill people was because the brothers were armed. They had 46 automatic weapons. Each one of those weapons would shoot 9,000 times in chunk of bricks for half hours. Yeah. I met a man who said, if I can't get me a gun, he said, I'm gonna fill my flip gun with acid. I saw another brother who said, I got a BB gun, but the BBs are poisoned. You better arm yourself, brothers. The man is moving to crush black people. The only reason he did not go in there and tear up that community was that black people were armed. So he decided to go and have an armistice with these people. He said that, okay, we'll let you patrol your communities, but tomorrow we're gonna come in and look for the guns. The brothers said, cool, baby, because they knew they were gonna hide the guns, and they hit them. The honky came in, this was the National Guard, came in and began to look for the guns. They couldn't find them, so they began to destroy property. The brothers saw what they were doing, and the brothers sent word out to the man. He said, if you kick down one more door, I'm gonna shoot your leg off. Yeah. They left. The brothers still got guns. They will not be back in that community because white folks don't want to die. That's why they send you to Vietnam. They don't want to die. They want you to die for them. And we've been doing it like fools. For years, brothers, for years, we've been running around here talking about love that man to death. You better shoot that man to death. Don't love him to death, brother, because he ain't got no love in his heart for you. When it comes to black people, America has no conscience. I have read where white men have stomped pregnant women in the ground. Black women. They have to show you where his mentality is. He rapes a black woman and then imprisons his son. You got to be dealing with an animal, brother. One white man said about them, and this was another honky talking about him, Bernard Shaw, says that America has never known civilization. He said it is the only country in the history of the world that has come from barbarism to decadence without going through civilization. White people talk about violence. These people are the masters of violence. You see, Lee Harvey Oswald was white. I saw a sign the other day that says, "Where is Lee Harvey Oswald now that we really need him?" Charles Whitman, the guy who perched up on a tower in Dallas, Texas, and killed all them honkies, was white. If you read their magazine, Esquire, a few months ago, you found out that the Bowery in New York, where the bums hang out, bums, people who are unable to help themselves, and it's their fault because most of them white, so I ain't got no sympathy for them. But dig what happens. Here comes a 13, 14, or 15-year-old honky kid who sees this other honky, show you what he think about you if he does this to a honky, sees another honky laying down, too drunk to move or sleep, and he pours gasoline on his head and ignites him. Then he comes back 2 days later and does the same thing to another one. That is violence. Violence is a part of America's culture, baby. We didn't put it in here, but we gonna use it to get rid of him. We're gonna have to stop believing the lies that America tells us. See, you got people like Edward Brooks. He is the white knight, the Ajax white knight. He's stronger than... He's the Ajax white knight. He's stronger than Drake. He goes to Vietnam, at least they tell him he in Vietnam. He might have been in Harlem. Anytime a man have to publish an article in Albany magazine saying, "Dig, baby, I'm a soul brother," something wrong with him. You ain't got to tell people if you're a soul brother. You ain't got to prostitute yourself to your people if you know where you at. He's running around talking about, "I'm a soul brother." They'd send him over to Vietnam, at least they told him he was in Vietnam. Like I say, he could have been in Harlem. And he comes back. He comes back and he says, "Well, Dig," he said, "the morals of the troops are high. Everything is going on. They are fighting the enemy for their country." And then next week, Time magazine comes out with the picture of this black fool on the front with a helmet on and black mud on his face. You can't see him no way. And he done put mud on his face. And he out there, and they ask him in the article, you know, what do you think about the war? He said, "Well, I like jumping out of planes." He said, "I get my jollies off jumping out of planes." I knew right then he wasn't black.
People can no longer talk about I. See, that whole individual thing has to be thrown out. This is, what one thing that college students have to understand, because most of the cats who come down talking about, "I got my stuff together," is cats who are coming out of college. You have to understand that, if you're speaking, you have to be speaking for the struggle. You cannot be talking for yourself, because I know what's going to happen if you get caught out there by yourself. You're going to be looking for everybody else at that point. the whole thing of, like collectivism, the whole thing that's not pushed in this country. If you understand, again, the politics of the country, then you understand why it is not pushed. You understand why America finds it profitable, in her sense, to push the whole thing of individualism. It's the whole rule of divide and conquer, when as America, the patriots of America, do not exist as individuals. In reality, white people in this country do not exist as individuals. See, the police have a line talking about, well, we are a minority too. That's not true, because they reflect the attitude of the majority of the people in this country. And white people, the white people who are racist, the white people, who are capitalists and who oppress people, they reflect the attitude of the majority in this country. So they do not exist as individuals. So black people have to understand that whole thing of individualism is a luxury that we can ill afford. We cannot afford to be individuals in this country. We do not exist as individuals in this country. We must begin to hammer out an ideology of revolutionary nationalism that says that every group, black people should be nationalists, Puerto Ricans should be nationalists. Like white people should be humane, nothing else. Because we cannot talk about white nationalism in this country at this point because of the way it's defined and what it means. We have to talk about white people being humane, nothing else. The American Indian can talk about nationalism. And when all of these groups, began to launch the type of revolutionary nationalism in their country, in their communities, when they become nationalists, then we can talk about waging a people's struggle. We cannot talk about waging a people's struggle in this country before then. Before each individual group becomes nationalistic in the sense that they are organized and that they are together for their own purpose. And that purpose, in the end result will be ending of repression and oppression of the masses of people. Then and only then can you talk about grouping and launching a people's struggle in this country. The whole thing of politics in this country is that the politics plays upon the individual. And one of the mistakes of the movement has been that we have been a victim of that whole thing of the individual. See, the man always points out an individual and he tells you that's your leader. He says that's your leader. Well, you have to examine what he's doing. When he pushes a guy out there and says that that's your leader, he also understands that he can pull that cat in. He can destroy that cat when he gets ready. See, we must begin to relate to concepts, not individuals. See, don't ask me, like, what's wrong with Carmichael and the Panthers? Understand what they both are saying. If you understand the ideology that they're pushing, that's sufficient. Then you take a side on that ideology. Don't take a side on the personalities. So you got to understand the difference. You have to understand the difference between concepts and personalities. See, the man, he found out it's very easy to destroy an individual or to discredit an individual, but it's much more difficult to discredit a concept or an idea. So what he does is that he pushes individuals out. He tells you this is your leader. Black people will decide when they need leaders, and they will decide who their leaders are. At this point, our job becomes, those people who understand the nature of the struggle, our job becomes to organize black people, to organize for revolutionary struggle, not to be projected as leaders. And at this point, the only force in the black community that will be able to wield the revolutionary ideology will be a political party, a party that pushes that ideology, some type of apparatus that speaks to black people. Because if you don't have an apparatus, if you don't develop alternatives for people, then the people are shuttled right back into the system. And you say, well, we ain't making no progress. See, the role of the vanguard in any revolutionary struggle is to lead. When it ceases to lead, it ceases to be the vanguard. The vanguard is no more than the guardians of the struggle. And people have to understand, people with certain skills, that's your role. Students, that's your role. You have to occupy the vanguard position in the struggle because you have certain skills, because you can do certain things. You cannot divorce yourself from that community. You cannot set your college apart from the community that you came from. See, down south, what happens down south in black universities is that when they build a black university, there's usually a physical boundary. It's a railroad track or a lake or something that separates that black university from the black community. And so what happens is automatically black students begin to assume that they're different from the people on the other side of the tracks. So all of a sudden they get scared to go out there where they got to buy their wine, because that's all they're going across for. They get scared to go out there because they think it's an entirely different person on the other side of the track. Again, the man is divided. He's made black people think that they're different. That's again, that's a luxury we can't afford. You have to understand in terms of how the man moves, how oppression comes down. He stratifies the community. You examine what happened in terms of the Jews in Germany. He didn't just vamp on the Jews. He got them segment by segment, in other words. The rich Jews say, well, he ain't going to mess with us. He just getting them poor Jews, them troublemakers. The same thing happens here in the black community. During the rebellion, black people who were doctors and who were professionals said, well, they ain't going to mess with us. They just getting the lawbreakers. But what really happened was that one of them doctors got caught out there in Newark, and the cop whooped his head till it roped like okra. Then he started talking about we and us. See, but that's the nature of repression. Repression tends to force people together. And it becomes a question as to whether the vanguard can afford to wait till repression forces them together. Given that, a lot of people, the masses of people even say, will be forced together as a result of repression, the question then becomes, can the vanguard afford to wait until repression forces them together? See, if we are correct in our assumption that the man is coming down every day against black people, then where does that leave us? If he has a timetable, if he operates off that timetable, is it the role of the vanguard to sit back and let that timetable expire, or is it the role of the vanguard to offset the timetable? This is a question that students, again, people who should be occupying vanguard roles in the struggle because of the skills that they have, nothing else. Because of the skills. You have certain skills that can be utilized. Students should be organizing welfare mothers. Students should be organizing young schools. You should be educating kids who are being trained every day. You should be educating. So you have to see your role because you have certain skills. You see, a revolutionary is not only a person who shoots a gun. See, I think a lot of times we've overemphasized the role of the gun in revolutionary struggle. A revolutionary is not only the person who shoots a gun. A revolutionary functions in the struggle on whatever level he happens to be. See, there's something that's going on out at the IBM plant. Somebody's out there sabotaging the machines. They don't know who it is. Could be Leroy 00 Soul Buckwheat Johnson Jr. They don't know what's going on, but they know that their machines are breaking down. He's committing a revolutionary act against that company. So wherever you exist, you can exist in a revolutionary fashion if you are committed to revolutionary struggle. See, it's no longer adequate for us to say that we're going to have revolution by any means necessary. You have to begin to define the means that are necessary. You can't say struggle by any means necessary because, again, you're allowing cats to do their own thing. You allow a cat to say, well, I'm fighting the revolution in this way, Jack. I'm going to get some of the mayor's money. And that's how I'm fighting the revolution. You must lay down guidelines for revolutionary struggle. And to do that, you must have a revolutionary ideology. People have to understand that in terms of ideology, ideology is shaped as a result of struggle. You don't just sit up one night and come up with the correct ideology. That ideology happens as a result of struggle, of being out there working with people. See, the mistakes that a lot of black people make in terms of going to the black community is that you go in there with a program. Go in with an ideology and work around the programs that exist. Don't go in there with a program. People got a program. They got to have a program to live every day down there. But go in there with an ideology that can tell that cat, I can make, this a little easier on you. We have a revolutionary ideology that tells, in terms of the cat who hustles, that, if you do such and such a thing, you can, in terms of alleviating the pressure and the oppression on other brothers, this can be done. Don't go in there and tell the brother, look here, man, put down your hustling, give up your numbers. What do you have to offer him? Infuse in his mind, how can he use the money that he gets? We need a cut of the money from the numbers to run a revolutionary organization. Then look at here, brother, this is what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about, giving me a cut of the money that you get from the numbers. That's your revolutionary duty. That's your revolutionary obligation and your revolutionary duty. Don't go there and tell the cat, look at here, man, you got to give up that stuff. Because I got something better. It might be better. It might, but you're telling that cat to give up something that, the way he knows how to live. That's his skill. For a program that he has never tried, for a program that you don't know if it's going to work. See, because most of our programs is theory at this point. The application of theory is the proof of theory. When we begin to apply that theory, when we can tell a cat that we got something that'll work, that's when, cats will begin to come on. Until then, we have to use people on a level where they exist. We can't tell a cat, look at here, man. Don't go to the wall unless we got an alternative for it. What alternative do you have for a cat who you don't let go to the wall? You either make him aware that he's going to spend some time in jail and you prepare him for that. But to tell him, just, hey, man, don't go to the wall. The cat's going to look at you and say, well, what you got better? What you got to offer me, man? I might be able to go to the wall and become a typist. What do you have better to offer me? See, programs exist in the black community. What we have to do is to forge a revolutionary ideology that makes those programs work for the struggle, make the programs work for the struggle. Now, in terms of the whole role of college students at this point, black college students in particular, you have, a vast, there's a colony in Bedford-Stuyvesant, there's a colony in Harlem, you're surrounded by them. We need people, to do work, to organize black people. We need people to go in and to work with black people, to infuse black people with that type of revolutionary ideology. Because if they don't have it, then every time Nixon comes up and screams that he got a new program, black capitalism, which is, a myth, then they're going to try it out. They're going to go for the ghost. You go for the ghost. You laugh, but you go for the ghost. See, the whole thing, like in terms of where we are at now, where a lot of us are at now, is that we have infused as an ideology, or for an ideology, the whole concept of militant blackism. In other words, it has become sufficient for a lot of us to be black and proud. But understand that there is no contradiction between singing America is my home and saying that I'm black and I'm proud. There is no contradiction. So a lot of us are just at the point where we are black and proud. That's not sufficient. We must go beyond our dashikis, our beards, and our beads. You have to go beyond that. See, because you have to understand that what happens in terms of a country of this nature is that you cannot talk about creating something until this thing has been destroyed. An old principle, the first principle of physical science, says that two objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time. So you cannot build where something exists. You cannot talk about building where something exists. And a lot of us are just at the point where, like we in our dashiki bags. But understand, you have to go beyond that. What you gonna do if the man come to your house and you ain't got nothing but a dashiki? You gonna beat him off with the dashiki? Are you gonna butt him with your natural? So that says to be black does not ensure survival. Just because I'm black does not mean that I will survive what this man has to put down. So we have to be, aware of that whole thing, that blackism is not an ideology. And people can be black and be individuals. A whole lot of dudes who were screaming that they were Negroes are now black and still doing the same thing. So we have to go beyond that whole concept of just, the natural and the dashiki. Because, if you look at in terms of, you can really gauge the tenor of the country by the way they program you over the idiot box. In terms of the TV thing. Okay, you used to have I Spy, which was an extension of the Long Ranger. It was a logical extension for the Long Ranger. My man was Tonto, nothing else. Tonto. But then you look today, what you have on TV today, and on the radio, you got the dude in the blue dashiki, the Newport dude in the blue dashiki. On the radio, commercials. This reflects an air of militancy. This is a whole new thing. White folks will co-opt dog shit, man, if it's to their advantage. If that's to their advantage, they will co-opt it. The militant black, they found it necessary to co-opt that to make it harmless. So they will show you the militant black. They show you a dude on TV. This dude, look here, he can't do wrong right. This cat can't do wrong right. But he's a militant. He's a militant. He's standing there, he got on all his uniform. He got on his uniform and everything. He's talking bad. He's whooping. But in the end, whose side does he come over to? He said, well, yeah, this is my country, baby, and yeah, you know, and I was going the wrong direction. I mean, the man programs. He programs. He's always wheeling and dealing, man, and you have to understand that the way he trains people, see, he trains people. He trains you to act a certain way. He will train you to be good black figures because he has conceded blackness. The first political victory that black people won in this country was the fact that they said that we are black. They established the fact that, you know, we will not be recognized as Negroes, we are black. The man said, wow, then, you know, okay. He said, you know, we'll concede that. We concede blackness to you. But we will not concede revolutionary struggle. We will not concede revolutionary nationalism. We'll concede blackness because then he still can sell that program about, you know, like the whole thing of integrating. The whole thing of blacks integrating with whites. He just changed the word. He quit saying Negroes integrate with whites. Now he says blacks integrate with whites. So you have to understand that he's just using black people. He's not using black people to speak the language of black people. He's just putting people in to mimic his language. Just new faces. It's the same old game. Just new faces. That's all, a new color. You have to understand that the whole thing of incorporating and developing and forging an ideology is very important when you begin to deal with the masses of people, especially the vanguard, people who are the vanguard, people who will begin to articulate and people who will begin to supposedly educate the masses of people. You have to understand that what's necessary is an ideology that goes beyond that whole thing of, you know, like just physical state of blackness. Because what we are talking about is surviving in this country. That's the whole thing. We have to survive in this country. See, this country oppresses people around the world. It's not just here. It's not just in Vietnam. It's in Latin America. It's in Africa. It's all around the world. So if people became, but we, you know, we as individuals, we as black people hold the key to liberation of people around the world. See, if people in Vietnam were to become free tomorrow, that would not affect the freedom of people in North Korea. That would not affect the freedom of people in Puerto Rico. See, it's just like an octopus. You cut off his tentacles. He still got tentacles in other places. But if black people see themselves as being a colony in the eye of the monster, we got his brain. You destroy his brain. And you freed Vietnam. You freed, you know, Africa. You freed Rhodesia. You freed Latin America. Because this man is the chief oppressor of mankind. You have to understand that in terms of his wealth is made through the oppression of people around the world. So when we talk about, you know, like replacing the man, when we talk about an ideology that's limited in scope, that does not talk about destroying this system, a system that demands exploitation, then we are talking about replacing the man. Whenever we talk about, you know, like, well, I don't want to destroy, you know, like this country, then you're talking about replacing. See, I'm as much against a black cat oppressing people around the world as I am a white cat oppressing people around the world. Wouldn't make me any difference. I would struggle just as hard against a black cat who oppressed black people because it would be necessary to oppress some people in this country if you took the seats. If all the white folks in the world would have died and black folks moved in on in the seats and assumed those positions and business went on as usual, then Vietnam would continue. Rhodesia would still be imprisoned and oppressed. And it would be because of the, you know, the economic pursuits of this country. The only way that this country can stay wealthy is that it oppresses people. Capitalism demands exploitation in some form of other people. So when we're talking about creating an ideology, we have to talk about ideology that's free from that type of economic oppression and physical oppression, because the physical oppression comes as a result of that economic pursuit. So we have to talk about, we have to begin to examine, we can't be immune. We have to examine all ideologies. We just can't be immune because the man says, well, you know, that's communism, or that's socialism. You shouldn't talk about that. See, I mean, this is the role of the student. You have to begin to articulate that. And I'm not saying that, you know, you take a struggle and bring it over here intact. I'm not saying that, because you cannot import and export revolution. What I'm saying is begin to examine the concepts of socialism. Understand what the man means when he says that the entire wealth of the world belongs to all people, which again goes back to what American politics is not based upon, because American politics is based upon property and land. And a question that has to be raised at this point is, how can you own land? See, if white folks could figure out how to bottle air, they'll do it to make profit off of it. If they could figure out how to bottle air, they would bottle air. They could figure out how, to measure water in cubics and issue out water every day, they would do that, because they could make profit off of that. So you have to understand that how in the world can people, talk about owning land, water, and air, because land is just like water and air in that sense. We have to talk about using the modes of production, the technology. We're not talking about destroying the technology, because technology is not an evil in itself. It's how that technology is employed, how that technology is used. We're talking about sieging that technology and using it to benefit mankind, not to oppress mankind. You realize that this country is technically capable of feeding people around the world, but they don't even feed black people in the country. Over 500 black kids die each year alone in Alabama for lack of proper food and nourishment, which again goes back to the politics of this country. And where black people are concerned on that level, that's the politics of genocide. He's exterminating black people actively. He's starving black people to death. So we're talking about seizing control of the technology and using it so it benefits mankind, so it benefits all black people, all oppressed people, people around the world. And this is what we have to be concerned about. I'm going to end because I understand that there's some questions, that people would like to raise. But in ending, I want to say that we have to consider ourselves as the authors of new justice. We have to see ourselves as the authors of a new justice. And wherever we find injustice and tyranny, we must stamp it. We must kill it. Frederick Douglass said the world belongs to the youth. Our job is to seize that and to make the world more humane. That has to be the role of any revolutionary, or any person who considers himself revolutionary.
Do you feel that black people will ever have a strong political voice in this country in the formal sense as we understand it? You mentioned that you don't think that this could ever come about. Is there any chance that it might?
No, see, I think that's a reformist, position to assume for me to say that black people will one day occupy in this system political offices of importance. Now, this brings on a whole discussion of control, you see, and how you control. Because anything that you don't control is used as a weapon against you. Now, in terms of black people occupying positions, America has created in Cleveland, Washington, D.C., and Gary, Indiana, a type of neo-colonialism. In other words, the man has set up a puppet regime. These black people, they are responsive to the needs and the whims of the Democratic Party and not of the masses of black people. If Johnson is president, or whoever is president, was to tell Stokes or Hatcher or Walter Washington to send black people to concentration camps, then there would be no discussion, because they would see it as their job, because they hold a position that's, responsive or that's sensitive to the Democratic Party.
Do you view those that are in prominent positions that are black sort of a token gesture on the part of the establishment, like a member of the Supreme Court bench? There was a black member of the cabinet, and so forth.
I think that has to be examined in the sense of progress and as to whether black people have made progress in this country. My contention is that black people have not made progress in this country. America has given blacks some concessions out of political necessity, their political necessity. They gave Thurgood Marshall a position on the Supreme Court to appease black people. In other words, we didn't put Thurgood Marshall there. They can take Thurgood Marshall whenever they get ready. We put Adam in office. They took Adam out. They gave black people an astronaut, and they killed him. So what happens is that has to be viewed in the light of concessions. The very fact that the man can concede a position to you tells you that you do not have a position of power where you can demand or that you can mandate something.
How do you think that the press has affected the black situation in this country?
I think news media and media in general are very negative in terms of any revolutionary movement or any movement that, forces the change of the status quo. Now, media has always been an enemy of black people, because what media has done is media has always singled out people who had vanguard positions or vanguard attitudes and tried to make these people an enemy of the masses of people. In our case, like make individuals enemies of black people. Malcolm X would be a good example. More Negroes feared Malcolm X than white people, because news media told black people that Malcolm was bad. Muhammad Ali, the reason that Muhammad Ali could be given the maximum sentence and the maximum fine and the black community did not revolt was because Muhammad Ali had been made an enemy of black people. Adam Clayton Powell could be legally lynched, politically lynched, and black people did not revolt was because the man had told black people that Adam Clayton Powell was an uppity nigger. He had legitimatized his own action through news media. So the news media is a tool of oppression.
What about your personal experience with the press? Do you feel that the press has given you a fair shake?
You see, in terms of myself as an individual, whether I get coverage or not, doesn't make any difference. But in terms of ideas, in terms of the flux of ideas, or the flow of ideas,
right, your
I see that, I see that the press has deliberately created a vacuum in terms of deliverance of attitudes or positions to the black community, which is to be expected. We cannot rely upon white news media to convey black revolutionary messages. So, like the press is doing their job. And to me, like what happened to me last year with the press was that there was a boycott against me by ABC, NBC, and CBS. Anything that Rap Brown did, like you blacked out. Because, just like that, no question about it. And this was the whole attitude that has been assumed by news media. And black people do not control news media, so they cannot expect to turn on TV and find out what's going on in the black community. Just like, for example, in New York Times, one of the biggest pieces of white nationalism that exists in the country.
I give you Rap Brown, Rap. First of all, I'd like to start off by thanking Brother Cleaver and the Black Panther Party for self-defense. You see, unlike America would have us believe, the greatest problem confronting this country today is not pollution and bad breath. It's black people. It's black people. See, that's just one of the big lies that America tells you and that you go for because you chumps. You go for it. One of the lies that we tell ourselves is that we are making progress. But Huey's chair is empty. We're not making progress. We tend to equate progress with concessions. We can no longer make that mistake. You see, when they gave us that nigger astronaut, you say we were making progress, but I told you they were going to lose him in space. He didn't get that far. They gave you Thurgood Marshall, and you said we were making progress. Thurgood Marshall is a Tom of the highest order. Anybody who sits before James O. Eastland, a camel breath, Peckerwood, nasty hunky from Mississippi, and let James O. Eastland subject him to the type of questioning that he did, he's a strange breed of man. You put Adam Clayton Powell in office and you couldn't keep him. What you think they're going to do with Thurgood Marshall when they get tired of him? They gave you Walter Washington of Washington, D.C., and you said we were making progress. That's not progress. See, it's no in between. You're either free or you're a slave. There's no such thing as second-class citizenship. That's like telling me you can be a little bit pregnant. The only politics in this country that's relevant to black people today is the politics of revolution. None other. There is no difference between the Democratic and Republican Party. The similarities are greater than the differences of those parties. What's the difference between Lyndon Johnson and Goldwater? None. But a lot of you running around talking about you Democrats, and the Democrats got you in the biggest trick going. They tell you that it ain't our fault, it's the Dixiecrats. There's no such thing as a Dixiecrat. The only difference between George Wallace and Lyndon Johnson is one of them's wife got cancer. That's the only difference. But you go for it. You go for it because you chumps. You go for it. The only thing that's gonna free Huey is gunpowder, black powder. Huey Newton is the only living revolutionary in this country today. He has paid his dues. He paid his dues. How many white folks you killed today? But you revolutionaries, you are revolutionaries. Che Guevara says it's only two ways to leave the battlefield, victorious or dead. Huey is in jail. That's no victory, that's a concession. When black people become serious about the revolutionary struggle that they are caught up in, whether they recognize it or not, when they begin to go down and knock off people who are oppressing them and began to render these people impotent, that's when the revolutionary struggle unfolds. Not until. See, I want to develop upon what Bobby was talking about green power, because green power is a myth. There's no such thing as green power as long as that honky got the power to change the color of money. It's power that controls this country. To show you America's wandering use and abuse of power in connection with money. Internationally, America changed the international gold standard from monetary standard from gold to paper gold. Her gold reserve had dwindled to $13.7 billion. France had 12.9. That's why de Gaulle was raising all that hell. De Gaulle says, I got almost as much gold as you. So how are you going to have more votes than me in the monetary system? United States got slick because they had power. They changed it to something that they got abundance of, paper gold. Paper gold. You see, black folks are chumps. If America were to tell you to bring all the rocks in this country to her, and she'll give you $1 million for it, you'll do it. And the next day she'll tell you, we're using rocks for currencies, chump. You go for it because you enjoy being lied to. You enjoy being lied to. You find your security in the lies that white America tells you. For 400 years, she taught you white nationalism and you lapped it up. You taught it to your children. You had your children thinking that everything black was bad. Black cows don't give good milk. Black hens don't lay eggs. Black for funerals, white for weddings. You see, everything black is bad. The only black biblical character you knew was Judas. That's all. Syrup of black drought. That's white nationalism. Santa Claus. a white honky who slides down a black chimney and comes out white. Flush-colored Band-Aids. They had a brother who put one on and thought something was wrong with his skin. That's because you chumps, you go for it. You enjoy white nationalism. Huntley and Brinkley, black folks got more confidence in Huntley and Brinkley than Catholics got in the Pope. They believe anything. According to Huntley and Brinkley, we through fighting in Vietnam. We through killing the enemy, we shooting trees. But you go for it, that's what you want to hear. And you say that you're revolutionaries. But if you are revolutionaries, you must assume the revolutionary posture. Chairman Mao says power comes from the barrel of a gun. Yes, politics is war without bloodshed, and war is an extension of those politics. But there is no politics in this country that's relevant to us, to black people. Bobby Kennedy sold black people out. He's not interested in black people. He called for vigilante action this summer. He says that the good citizens should band with the policemen to put down lawbreakers. You know who lawbreakers are in this country. Lyndon Johnson has set the attitude, the atmosphere rather, for vigilantism in the country when he came out in his latest speech, I guess you call it, and said that one day law-abiding citizens will rise up to put down the lawbreakers, and 1 week later the longshoremen went over and beat the peace movement up with hooks. That's vigilante action. The same thing happened during the Battle of Algiers, the Algerian Revolution, when France passed the proclamation establishing people's militias. That's what this country is doing. That's why white folks are buying guns. They're buying them for you. And understand, class differences will not save you. There is no such thing as a black middle class. You don't believe it? Go to Detroit. There's no such thing as a black middle class. The man does not beat your head because you got a Cadillac or because you got a Ford. He beats you because you're black. Class structures are a luxury that we cannot afford. They cannot divide us by saying that you're middle class or you're lower class. He kills you because you're black. The concentration camps, they got 37 in the country, and me and Carmichael can't fill all of them. They got to be taking somebody else. You've got to stop dividing yourselves. You got to organize. I agree with Bobby. We are not outnumbered. We are out-organized. You have to organize on every level. Everybody in the black community must organize. And then we decide whether we will have alliances with other people or not, but not until we are organized. In terms of the revolution, I believe that the revolution will be a revolution of dispossessed people in this country. That's the Mexican American, the Puerto Rican American, the American Indian, and black people. We happen to be the vanguard of that revolutionary struggle because we are the most dispossessed. An old African leader says about leadership, he says that leadership should never be shared. It should always remain in the hands of the dispossessed people. We will lead the revolution. I want to end because Brother Carmichael has a message for you. I'm sure he has a lot to tell you about his revolutionary struggle, about the revolutionary struggle. Okay, you asked for it, brothers. Okay, we're going to talk about law and order versus justice in America then. You see, Lyndon Johnson can always sit up and talk about, he can always raise an argument about law and order because he never talks about justice. But black people fall for that same argument, and they go around talking about lawbreakers. We did not make the laws in this country. We are neither morally nor legally confined to those laws. Those laws that keep them up keep us down. You got to begin to understand that. See, justice is a joke in this country, and it stinks of its hypocrisy. Johnson is Hitler's illegitimate child, and J. Edgar Hoover is his half-sister. And we must conduct our struggle on this level. We are fighting enemies of the people. America for centuries, for years, have blackmailed oppressed people with the threat of nuclear war and war in general. The natural reaction becomes not to fear war. This is the lesson we learned from Vietnam. They tell you your problem is unemployment. Well, I got a program that can employ every black person in this country overnight. Ain't nobody in Vietnam unemployed. Think about that when you need a job. We're talking about revolution because that's the era that you're caught in. You're caught in a revolutionary era. See, black people are responding to a poem that Langston Hughes wrote a long time ago, a poem that was in the form of a question that was never answered. The poem was, "What happens to a dream deferred?" It says, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or does it fester like a sore and then run? Or does it sag like a heavy load? Or does it explode? Detroit answered that. See, they used to call it Detroit, now they call it destroyed. But America is moving to combat that. She's saying this summer what we can't buy off, we're gonna kill off. That's why she's building up her armories. Understand that. This is what the National Guard is all about. This is what the new weapons are all about. You see, the poverty programs for the last 5 years have been buy-off programs. In Harlem, which has been one of the greatest victims of the poverty program, how you act is nothing but an act. That's all it is. They give the brothers $45 a week to go to manpower, to come to class at manpower training. That $45 a week goes into drugs. That's just enough to keep the brother hooked. That's all. They pay you enough to keep you hooked. The poverty program was not designed to eliminate poverty. It does not speak about the ending poverty. It does not speak about how poverty is embedded in this society. Rather, it talks about the effects of poverty, not the causes. Black people must address itself to the causes of poverty. That's oppression in this country. So black people all across this country are uniting. They must unite, and they must organize themselves. Everybody has a responsibility in that community. Women, men, children, take them out to Boy Scouts and get you a black guard. You must begin to take over your institutions, your schools, because that's where the young minds are. The last time I was out here was for the Watts picnic. See, I don't believe that Watts burned down so they can have a picnic every year. But what they did during that time was that they took 7,000 kids on weekend notice. They gathered up 7,000 kids and took them off to a military camp. That's a dangerous thing. Next year they say they hope to take 1 million. What if they took 1 million and they didn't come back? Who go and get them, chump? You must address yourselves to these problems. These are the problems you live with daily. They don't want your old hard heads, they want the young minds. You see, ours might be to do or die, but for the little brothers, theirs should be but the reason why. So now I really am going to end, because, wait. And in ending, I'm going to end in the Swahili saying. It says, Lasima Tusinda Bila Shaka, which means we shall conquer without a doubt. Black power.
Knowledge bomb. What's the science, baby?
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. Night in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? So no more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African, I'm a, let's get back to the
motive is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.
In the 1970s, as he served a prison sentence for armed robbery, H. Rap Brown became a Muslim and changed his name to Jamil Al-Amin. On March 16, 2000, at 10 o'clock at night, Fulton County Sheriff deputies served a warrant for Al-Amin, a missed court date on a traffic charge. A man who pulled up in a Mercedes near Al-Amin's house opened fire, killing Deputy Ricky Kitchen. Authorities found Al-Amin.
Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Pause that poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Pause that poetic, H-Rap Brown. Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known as SNCC, formulated in the 60s. The height of civil rights erupt in the city streets. No justice, just fighting for the liberty. Arrested for riots, but not before you heard the cry. Violence is American as cherry pie. Serving as minister of justice before the Panther Partnership end in abruptness. Organizing against racial attacks. Armed self-defense for a nation of blacks. With presidents he sat. Enforced potent gas. Organized registered voting acts. The young and passionate often will become activists. Killed by guns and savages. Far from pacifists. Clashing with racist nationalists. Government run by capitalists. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Pause that poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Pause that poetic, H-Rap Brown. Wanted and taunted by the FBI. Brown shot by a deputy and left to die. No answer needed, no question why. Just to survive, decided it was best he hide. OT, lay low obviously. Regroup and retroop possibly. A year later, shootout with NYPD. Arrested, convicted, attempted robbery. Upstate in Attica for 5 years. Guess the time helped get his mind clear. Reset the revolutionary pioneer. Came home strong with refined ideas. Converted to Islam on his deen. H. Brown, not Imam Jamil Al-Amin. Moved to Atlanta, new on the scene. Opened the grocery store, got the community clean. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down.
Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, frontline, and war back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. A decade later, the year is 2K. Serving a warrant for failure to appear to his case. Supposedly, deputies leaving his place. He was headed home, they meet him face to face. 2 cops shot, one was dead. From the hospital bed, mumbled and said, Jamil Al-Amin, the gunman alleged. Captured in Alabama on the run, he fled. Still in possession of the murder weapon. Body armor dressing for further protection. No alibi, whereabouts, words in question. Charged and convicted, no heard confessions. Sentence, life, no parole. 24 hours locked tight in a hole. 20 years later, hoping the fight will turn in old. Light barrels keep fire burning in they soul. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, frontline, and one back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, frontline, and one back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown.